Ladies and gentlemen, today, I will provide a detailed summary of TSMC's Q1 2026 earnings conference call, focusing on revenue performance and future outlook. All information is drawn from the company's official financial reports and management statements. The earnings conference was held on April 16, 2026. Q1 2026 actual operating results. In the first quarter of 2026, TSMC delivered solid and excellent results. Consolidated revenue reached 1.1341 trillion new Taiwan dollars. In new Taiwan dollar terms, revenue grew 8.4% quarter-over-quarter. In US dollar terms, revenue increased 6.4% sequentially to $35.9 billion, slightly above the company's previous guidance range. Compared with the previous quarter, revenue showed clear sequential growth. When compared with the same period last year, NT dollar revenue increased 35.1% year-over-year, while US dollar revenue grew 40.6% year-over-year, indicating strong overall demand momentum. Profitability improved significantly at the same time. First quarter gross margin reached 66.2%, up 3.9 percentage points from the previous quarter and up 7.4 percentage points year-over-year. Operating margin reached 58.1%, increasing 4.1 percentage points sequentially and 9.6 percentage points year-over-year. Net profit margin stood at 50.5%, also setting a new high. Net income after tax was approximately 5,724.8 billion new Taiwan dollars, up 13.2% from the previous quarter and up 58.3% year-over-year. Earnings per share amounted to 22 new Taiwan dollars and 8 cents, with return on equity reaching 40.5%. All of these metrics set new quarterly records. In terms of technology breakdown, advanced processes, 7 nanometer and below, contributed approximately 74% of wafer revenue. Among them, the 3 nanometer process accounted for about 25% of wafer revenue, the 5 nanometer process accounted for 36%, and the 7 nanometer process accounted for 13%. The high-performance computing platform remained the primary growth driver. CFO Wendell Huang stated that first quarter revenue grew 8.4% sequentially, primarily driven by strong demand for leading-edge process technologies. Gross margin expanded 3.9 percentage points to 66.2%, mainly due to cost improvement efforts, higher capacity utilization rates, and a more favorable foreign exchange environment. Q2 2026 guidance. Looking ahead to the second quarter of 2026, TSMC expects revenue to range between $39.0 billion and $40.2 billion. Based on the midpoint, this represents approximately 10% sequential growth and 32% year-over-year growth. Assuming an exchange rate of $1 to 31 new Taiwan dollars and 70 cents, NT dollar revenue is estimated at approximately 1.2363 trillion new Taiwan dollars to 1.2743 new Taiwan dollars trillion. Gross margin is projected to be between 65.5% and 67.5%, while operating margin is expected to range from 56.5% to 58.5%. The second quarter tax rate is estimated at approximately 20% due to the impact of undistributed earnings tax, while the full-year tax rate is still projected to remain between 17% and 18%. Full year 2026 outlook. One of the key messages from this earnings conference is TSMC's optimistic outlook for the full year. The company expects US dollar revenue growth for 2026 to exceed 30%, higher than previous estimates. Capital expenditure is maintained in the range of $520 billion to $560 billion, with a bias toward the high end of the range. The spending will primarily support expansion of advanced process and advanced packaging capacity to meet customers' long-term demand. Visibility for the 2 nanometer process already extends into 2028 and beyond. Chairman and CEO C.C. Wei noted that, benefiting from technological leadership and a broader customer base, TSMC maintains strong confidence that full-year 2026 US dollar revenue will grow by more than 30%. Artificial intelligence demand possesses structural characteristics and is not a short-term phenomenon. The company will continue to address supply-demand tightness through efficiency improvements and capacity planning. TSMC's long-term targets remain a compound annual revenue growth rate of approximately 25%, gross margin above 56%, and return on equity at a high level. Investor Q&A session highlights. In the Q&A session, analysts inquired about the progress of 3nm gross margin and the reasons for the capital expenditure adjustment. Management responded that the 3nm process is expected to reach and exceed the company's overall average gross margin level in the second half of 2026. The capital expenditure adjustment primarily reflects strong growth in AI and high-performance computing demand. Regarding capacity supply and demand, Mr. Wei stated that the tight supply situation is expected to continue into 2027. The company is actively accelerating cleanroom construction and equipment installation while maintaining high confidence in its technological leadership. Overall assessment. Looking at the first quarter data as a whole, compared with the previous quarter, revenue grew 8.4% in NT dollar terms and 6.4% in US dollar terms, gross margin increased by 3.9 percentage points, and operating margin rose by 4.1 percentage points, demonstrating clear improvement in profitability. On a year-over-year basis, revenue increased 35.1% in NT dollar terms and 40.6% in US dollar terms, while net income and earnings per share both grew 58.3%, showing that demand for AI-related advanced processes continues to provide solid momentum. The message conveyed in this earnings conference is that TSMC's leading position in advanced processes remains solid, the full-year growth outlook has been revised upward, and long-term capacity planning is clear. Although initial cost dilution from overseas fabs and external risks still require attention, the company has effectively addressed these through cost optimization and high capacity utilization. It is expected that 3nm gross margin will reach the company average in the second half of the year. In the context of the continued development of global artificial intelligence applications, TSMC, as a key advanced semiconductor foundry, has operating performance and growth potential that deserve continued attention from investors. For the most authoritative and detailed information, please visit TSMC's investor relations website to download the latest earnings release, management report, presentation materials, and the full earnings conference transcript. Thank you for listening. If you have any further questions regarding specific data or the outlook, please feel free to discuss. Investment decisions should be based on official company announcements and take into account your personal risk tolerance.